this is Detronus here to bring you some official Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls patch news. Straight from Blizzcon 2014, we have some awesome changes coming. It's astounding how much time this Diablo 3 team is putting into giving us free content, us players. You see a lot of other developers like Bungie with Destiny. They release a game, give out a couple minor patches to fix some game-breaking bugs or exploits in the first 2 months, and basically 3 months after launch, they're selling you another expansion pass. But Blizzard is completely different. They're bringing out content patches, bug fixes, exploit fixes, rebalancing, and a plethora of new, reimagined legendaries and ways to enjoy the game. And here in patch 2.1.2, we have new changes. First, ancient items. This is probably one of the more exciting changes, very exciting if you're like me and always on that item hunt. Here we have a new tier of legendary items, up to 30% better. To demonstrate this new ancient tier of items, they give us an example of Maximus and how it can drop in a superior form, its ancient form, being this. As the previous slide said, this weapon can be up to 30% more powerful than its normal legendary counterpart. And the purpose of these new ancient tier legendaries are to captivate the individuals who feel that they have completed the item hunt. They have their set pieces, they have good rolls. What else is there to do for their character? Blizzard's answer is to give you an even more powerful counterpart of the items you already have, statistically speaking. Not only is this another layer of power to your character to challenge the demonic hordes that lay before you, but it continues that loot hunt that we crave in this Diablo game, right? Now, Wyatt Cheng stated at BlizzCon that these ancient items have a 5 to 15% chance, scaling to the difficulty of dropping from their normal legendary counterpart. So getting some of these ancient items is not a pipe dream. Now, Blizzard also took the time at BlizzCon 2014 to talk about what legendary gems are for. They're there to add another layer of power for the heroes. They're there to change up the builds for the heroes, and they're there to just change up the gameplay. And Blizzard shared some interesting graphs here about the usage of certain legendary gems in the game. As you see here, Bane of the Powerful, Bane of the Trapped, and Enforcer take up almost half this entire pie. Blizzard stated in their conference that to address this huge disparity in gem usage, they're not going to use the nerf bat. Rather, they want to introduce more legendary gems. And not only that, but as they introduce more legendary set pieces and gear, hopefully it'll complement these lesser used gems like Simplicity and Taguk. And awesome to know, and the reason why I'm talking, is that Blizzard also introduced a couple new legendary gems that are going into the PTR to compete against some of the more powerful gems like Bane of the Powerful. And here they are, Esoteric Alteration and Molten Wildebeest Gizzard. Now, we've known for quite some time that the D3 team has been pushing its player base into wanting to play a more defensive / CC type of build, instead of just going strictly for offensive stats, which is the most efficient at most times, and also almost the best defense. But here we have two legendary gems that play into this defensive category, and therefore we see even more that they're still continuing to try to give us options to play more defensively. So here with Esoteric Alteration, it gives you 30% non-physical damage reduction, which is awesome because it could free up other passives like Supernatural on a Barbarian or whatnot. And its 25 bonus is while below half health, which is awesome because if you have more vitality, that half point increases higher and higher. While below half health, your resistances to cold, fire, lightning, poison, and arcane are increased by 75%. So this is a huge answer for people who are constantly complaining about Jailer, getting one-shotted by that, Molten, all those horrible Electrify fixes, which those Electrify fixes have been kind of nerfed quite a bit, so they're not as threatening to melee characters. But this gem is an answer to those fixes that are more deadly to players. It's also important to note, as a developer interjected in the presentation, that these numbers are subject to change going into the PTR and even afterwards. While the concepts might remain the same, the 30% reduction to non-physical damage, for instance, could be dropped to 25, it can go up, and the same with this legendary gem on the right, Molten Wildebeest Gizzard. Now, this legendary gem on the right allows you to regenerate 50,000 life per second. Now, is that going to stay 50,000? Like I said, I don't know. It could change. But the level 25 bonus is, after not taking damage for 4 seconds, gain an absorb shield for 200% of your total life per second. Now observe this carefully. Both gyms are trying to promote a more defensive playstyle. They're trying to get you to gear more defensively. Look at both the 25 bonuses. The one on the left, at the level 25 bonus, it increases your resistances based on a percentage of your resistances already on your gear. And the gem on the right's bonus gives you an absorb shield based on a percentage of your total life per second. So Blizzard definitely wants you to play more defensively, and perhaps now that they're giving us very powerful gems, we can afford to do so. Now those two things were the most exciting pieces of news at BlizzCon today on the 7th, shared with us in patch 2.1.2. That gets kind of difficult to say after time and time again. But there were also some other changes discussed. For instance, new characterized types of goblins were shared. Ones that drop out gems, for instance, the gem hoarder. I'm sure some of you can use more gems out there. After that, we have a green version called the Odious Collector, and this guy drops out different kinds of patterns and crafting components. Then, finally, we have the Blood Thief, and this guy, most interestingly, I think, drops out blood shards, and quite a bit of them. In addition to these characterized goblins, they have improved visibility, they start in front of portals, they make new sound effects, and they also said there was increased drama at the conference. I'm not quite sure what this meant, but I'm guessing it just means that the whole experience is going to be a little bit more on edge. Am I going to get the kill or not? Am I going to get the loot or not? In patch 2.1.2, they're also going to vary the zones quite a bit. Some zones like this, Fields of Misery, they're always the same. We were promised randomized zones at launch. Never really got them with most of the areas in the game, but they're actually going to vary these zones up quite a bit. We were told that in this patch, Fields of Misery, for instance, will get 12 different versions or variations of that landscape and different starting points, so it won't be the same experience every time. And again, this is not just Fields of Misery, but also other layouts like the Oasis, Spider Caves, and Leoric's Jail will also get different variations and starting points. And I'm not quite sure what they meant by there's going to be new dungeon sets. We didn't get any information about that. Also coming along in this patch, going on the PTR, are Pylon changes. Game director Wyatt Chang stated in the conference that he knows the outcry of the popularity or necessity of conduit pylons going forward in higher glyphs. And although he's heard the suggestion to remove the conduit pylon from greater glyphs, he thinks the better option is to add competitive pylons, making shield pylons give you a huge amount of shield and actually reflect damage back, making speed pylons allow you to move through Waller and through enemies unhindered. All these changes, of course, will also be on the PTR for this patch, for you to test out and examine yourself. We were also given some gameplay demonstration of new enemies like the Rat King, the birthplace of all rats in Sanctuary. Quite a horrific display. One of the developers didn't even want to look at the images on screen and expected all of us to, I guess. But he's quite a fearsome creature in combat, it seems. Every time you hit him, rats fly out of his back into like rat-like tornadoes flying across the map, and once you kill him, he explodes the remaining rats out of his back onto the fighting field. Patch 2.1.2 is looking to be a very promising, free, again, man, all this free content, Diablo 3 patch. To sum it up, we're getting new treasure goblins with characteristics and different things they drop. And Season 2 is coming out with new legendaries, class-specific, adventure mode improvements, making things in Act 1 more accessible, like the Enchantress or the Jeweler, and there's going to be an ancient item tier mode to make your legendary items even more powerful. New legendary gems, new monsters. It's just so awesome to hear all these new changes, and further down the line they gave some teasers of some new zones. Hopefully you found this video informative and enjoyable, and hopefully you're giving Blizzard the attention and praise they deserve. They're really making Diablo 3 one of the best gaming experiences on the market. Enjoy, friends, and stay tuned for some more Diablo 3 news as BlizzCon wraps up tomorrow.